What we also know is that there is not a single evidence that the president or his coonies have put forth that there are any single resource from taxpayers in Minnesota that has gone to aid and abate terrorism.
Federal prosecutors say Minnesota is grappling with one of the biggest welfare fraud waves in U.S. history. And now counterterrorism officials warn some of that money very likely ended up in the pockets of al-Shabaab, an al-Qaeda-linked terror group operating out of Somalia. National correspondent Kaylee Gaskins has the details from Washington.
But wait a minute. Didn't Ilhan Omar just say that no tax money from residents in Minnesota was used for fraud? Or was it that they weren't committing fraud in Minnesota? Or was it that dozens upon dozens of Somalians in Minnesota are right now being busted and arrested for using up taxpayer money totaling in the millions? Some say it might get even into the billions, because they're funding terrorist groups back home in Somalia and possibly around the world. I don't know. It's hard to understand where this woman's coming from, being that, you know what, she's nothing but a snake anyway. Stay with me. We got a lot to talk about. Here we go. Hey there, Patriots. This is True Outlaw Patriot coming at you with another one. Boy, I tell you, this Ilhan Omar, why she hasn't been basically kicked out of the U.S., kicked out of Congress, kicked out of the U.S. In full force is beyond me. This woman cannot stop lying, okay, regardless of how much information, how much proof is out there. Proof that has been uncovered, and more proof is coming out, that there has been major taxpayer fraud coming out of Minnesota. I mean, they have already busted so far. They say it's about 72 people involved. They've already picked up about 56 of them, and the word is that number is going to keep rising, because there is so much fraud in Minnesota that the President Trump, okay, he basically said, you know what, enough is enough. Okay, the Somalis that are in Minnesota and throughout the United States were given TPS status, temporary protective status, and he's basically lifting it, revoking it, and saying that's it, no more. There is too much fraud going on, especially in Minnesota. They've been talking about it for years. When you have someone like Tim Walz and Ilhan Omar and other leftist political officials turning a blind eye, and all they can do is say that it's all a lie, but yet they keep getting all kinds of information, basically bringing all the receipts. These people on the left, they truly think that they are above the law, and they're upset with President Trump because of what he wants to do. And in my opinion, this is the right move. Not only is this the right move, in case you haven't heard, I'm not putting too much of it in this video, but President Trump has basically deemed the Muslim Brotherhood a terrorist group. And the reason why he did that is because more proof is coming out that there are way too many Muslim organizations in the United States, and many of them, if not all, have ties back to the Muslim Brotherhood. Yes, you heard that right. Okay. I mean, this is something that has, this is a cancer that has metastasized, and nobody on the left cares, obviously. And too many people have been quiet about it. But now that we have President Trump back in the White House, now it's time to start cleaning house. That's basically what he said he was going to do. But leave it up to people like Ilhan Omar to go and now start blowing the dog whistle, which I'm going to show you the response that she gave in its entirety. Okay, but I want to play a couple of small news clips just so you guys get more of a better idea of what's going on. So before I continue all that, I'm going to cut the monologue short. It's a little long, forgive me. I just want to say thank you and welcome to all my new subscribers and all my subscribers here on YouTube and on Rumble. Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, pass the channel around. If you can help support the channel, there's a link in my description to my Cash App and my merch store. Also, again, to everyone on X, thank you for joining my channel there. Don't forget to click on the blue link on the video so it'll direct you back to YouTube. If you want to do that, it'll help get these views going, the algorithm going, and the channel growing. So, with all that being said, I'm going to play a couple of quick news clips so you guys can see what's going on, of all the fraud that's going on and what President Trump has to say. And we are going to go right after that and see what Ilhan Omar has to say. And let me tell you something. If this woman, like I said, this woman's disgusting. She's nothing but she's a damn wolf. Okay, she is a wolf with a snake's tongue. Okay, I am so sick and tired of this woman belittling and making it seem as if, you know what, we're here to stay, you can't do nothing. Well, guess what, woman? Okay, you are an immigrant that wind up getting your citizenship, but that can be revoked. You were not born and raised in America. Okay, give it time, because as soon as President Trump finds the legal way to get rid of you, you'd be so lucky that they don't build a giant slingshot and slingshot your ass back to your corrupt country in Somalia. With that being said, here we go.
Federal prosecutors say Minnesota is grappling with one of the biggest welfare fraud waves in U.S. history. And now counterterrorism officials warn some of that money very likely ended up in the pockets of Al-Shabaab, an Al-Qaeda-linked terror group operating out of Somalia. National correspondent Kaylee Gaskins has the details from Washington.
Is the biggest funder of Al-Shabaab, the Al-Qaeda-linked terror group in Somalia, actually the Minnesota taxpayer? A federal investigator says yes. An alarming claim first reported by City Journal, which spoke with multiple former federal agents. The U.S. Attorney's Office has charged dozens of defendants across multiple schemes, including housing aid fraud, pandemic child nutrition fraud, and false billing for autism therapy. In total, prosecutors say...
Yeah, I want to jump in real quick on that. When I heard about the, what did she say about the autism, right here, the false billing for autism therapy. You know, you want to do housing fraud is one thing. They were taking, collecting money for the pandemic, and basically that was, I mean, that fraud was going throughout all the United States, or I should say mostly the blue states. But when I heard about this, about them doing false billings for autism therapy, that right there hit a nerve, because I was like, you know, if all this turns out to be true, and by all intents and purposes is looking like more and more that it is true, I mean, how freaking cynical can you be? How diabolical can you be? Okay, to go and use children or grown-ups, whoever it is, that are handicapped, okay, and commit fraud against them. It's like these people have no damn shame. And yet Ilhan Omar wants to go up there and say, and she's got a lot to say. I'm going to show the full video so you can hear the filth that comes out this woman's mouth. She is evil, this woman. She is straight up evil. And this is the kind of person that we do not need in the United States. It's just mind-blowing the way these people have been doing this for so long in Minnesota. It's not easy to collect a lot of money and get through it without anybody finding out. Okay, especially when it's in the millions, hundreds of millions, billions of dollars they're talking about. And that's because it has to be that people in high-ranking positions, governor, mayor, whoever it is, politicians, sheriff's department, I don't know, I'm just saying. But unless everybody's got a piece of this pie, I find it hard to believe that anybody will come out and say, we didn't know. We didn't know. What do you mean you didn't know? It's not like it was happening throughout the whole state. It was happening in a section of the Somali community. How big is it that nobody can see all this fraud going on with hundreds of millions of dollars. And then, for Ilhan Omar to have the gall, to have the audacity, the condescending nature to make it seem like, oh no, all this is just something that President Trump is throwing out there. You heard it for yourself. One of their own who was in charge of investigating frauds was talking about this years ago. One of their own, and still ignored. Well, let's continue.
For autism therapy. In total, prosecutors say these schemes have cost Minnesota taxpayers billions of dollars.
Still, there are people that have legitimately could use those resources that are not getting those resources. It's past criminal.
Minnesota is home to one of the country's largest Somali communities. Former state fraud investigator Keish Magan.
As a matter of fact, this guy right here, I'll go back just a little bit. This guy right here is one of their own. In case you guys didn't know, I jumped a little ahead of the video, but I mean, I seen it on a news clip yesterday. He was talking about this. Check this out.
Former state fraud investigator Keish Magan, himself a Somali American, wrote last year that it's uncomfortable and true that nearly all defendants in these major fraud cases come from that community.
They have taken advantage.
And that was last year. Okay? So that means that if he could come out and make that statement, and he was in charge of, being in charge of fraud and all that, I find it hard to believe that he didn't say anything. And if he did, then why wasn't it put out into the open? Or did he say something? And being that the Biden administration, Ilhan Omar, and whoever's in charge, they were keeping it hush-hush. I tend to believe that to be the truth than anything else.
Advantage of the most generous country in the world and one of the most generous states in that country.
And according to City Journal, some of the stolen money was sent overseas through informal cash transfer networks. Investigators say once that cash arrived in Somalia, Al-Shabaab took a cut, whether the sender intended that or not.
Pretty much across the board, people that I spoke to said there really isn't a law enforcement solution to this problem. As you said, that's simply playing whack-a-mole.
There isn't a law enforcement solution to this. He's not saying this now. He's saying the people that he had spoken to, which means that during the Biden administration. But here's the solution now, is doing exactly what President Trump is doing. It's like, you know what? We're not going to get the money back. We're still investigating. But we have enough proof to know that this is going on. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to end it. Everybody get the hell out.
People pretty consistently told me that, there needs to be a policy change here.
Yeah, that is the policy change, what President Trump is doing. And now the Somali community, with all the freaking liberal leftists are out there now crying, you can't kick us out. They're not even asking, can you please reconsider? Can we sit down? No. If you look at all the news outlets that are putting this out and on social media and regular mainstream media, they have all these people having these little town hall meetings, and what they're saying it. We're not going anywhere. It's like, no. If the president and his administration want to revoke your citizenship because of what's going on, and if they come to find out that if any of you have committed any fraud, trust me, your citizenship is going to get revoked, and they're going to get rid of your asses. You don't go to somebody's country and come out and say, we're not leaving. That may work in Europe and in other countries, but here in America, there's a new sheriff in town, because this is something that should have been done a very long time ago. But let's get to the next video clip. Here we go.
Breaking tonight, President Donald Trump posting on Truth Social that he will terminate the temporary protected status for Somalis in Minnesota. In his post, he says the reason is, quote, Minnesota, under Governor Walz, is a hub of fraudulent money laundering activity. I am, as the President of the United States, hereby terminating, effective immediately, the temporary protected status, TPS program, for Somalis in Minnesota. Somali gangs are terrorizing the people of that great state, and billions of dollars are missing. Send them back to where they came from. It's over, President DJT, end quote. Now, we have reached out to Governor Tim Walz for a comment, but have not heard back tonight. Somalia's protective status currently runs through March 2026.
Well, not now. Now he already said, effective immediately, they're going to do what they got to do. They're getting all the paperwork ready to go, because there's going to be backlash from liberal judges, and there's going to be protests about this, people. Okay, regardless of the facts, there's going to be protest. And this is the problem with the left, that they keep saying that the right are committing, people on the right are committing fraud, that the president's this, the president's that, his supporters are no good. And it's like, but why is it that you people on the left keep getting busted? Proof keeps coming out, hardcore proof keeps coming out, receipts and all, and you make it seem as if, nope, nothing to see here. Why? Because you people are corrupt. Okay? But now President Trump is like, you know what? No more. It's going to stop. And again, by him designating the Muslim Brotherhood, okay, a terrorist group, and now they're going to start investigating all the groups in America that are linked to him, I will not be surprised, and I know I said it, I'm going to say it again, I will not be surprised if Ilhan Omar, somewhere along the line, is part of that. Is part of it, and that she knew. There is no way for this type of organization to go unchecked and unnoticed, to get so big in America, and nobody was the wiser. That means that people in high positions knew about this, they know about it, and the Department of Justice needs to go and investigate and basically just lay the hammer down on whoever was involved. Deport who you got to deport, excuse me, and put in prison who you need to put in prison.
Now tonight, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar responding to Trump's post on Twitter, saying, "I am a citizen and so are majority of Somalis in America. Good luck celebrating a policy change that really doesn't have much impact on the Somalis you love to hate."
You know, this woman has a set on her. She truly believes that she is untouchable. First of all, she's a citizen, but she was not born and raised in America. Okay? Her citizenship can be revoked. And if everything goes the right way, if all this investigation starts to uncover stuff, trust me, President Trump will push to have her citizenship revoked and kicked out of the United States. Plain and simple. And that goes for all the other Somalis that she's saying that we're here to stay, or whatever the case is. You know, it's like you truly think, you wind up going and saying that no one's above the law. President Trump is not above the law. And with this statement right here, she's making it seem as if she's above the law. I tell you, these Democrats, they just have no damn shame, man. It's just straight up disgusting. But anyway, those were a couple of the video news clippings I want to show. There's a lot more. I want to get to the full press conference that she spoke. It's about 10 minutes, so bear with me. I'm going to put my thoughts into it, and it's going to blow your mind what comes out of this woman's mouth. But it should not be surprising. Here we go.
I am really delighted to see so many incredible leaders and so much of our community here. I want to start with a gratitude by thanking the Minnesota Democratic delegation. Senator Amy Klobuchar, Senator Tina Smith,
right.
Congresswoman Angie Gregg, Congresswoman Betty McCollum, for strongly speaking in opposition to the hate, to the fear-mongering, and for standing up in unity for the Somali community here in Minnesota. And
already, for the hate and the fear-mongering, it's like, woman, what part of fraud investigation do you not understand? What part of the people that they have arrested so far, dozens of them, have links and ties to this fraud and terrorist groups? Where does that become hate? I'm telling you, these people, I can't stand this woman. I truly can't.
Across the country. I also want to thank Governor Tim Walz, Lieutenant Governor Patty Flanagan, Attorney General Keith Ellison, for reminding folks why Minnesota is a great state, because we all stay united and uplift one another.
Right.
And I want to thank the incredible leaders who are behind me, whether they are elected officials or faith leaders or community leaders, for speaking in one unified voice against the scapegoating of a community that has thrived in Minnesota and whom most have chosen to call this state home.
Wait, how can that be possible if once again they say many of the residents in Minnesota are welfare recipients? Somebody told me, send me the dictionary wording where all this has changed. That now if you go into a country and you collect social services money like welfare, food stamps, whatever, how that makes you a person that helps a community thrive. I don't understand the reasoning behind these people. I just truly don't.
I think I want to speak to a few things. One, I want to speak to what Trump has tweeted and what it means for those of us who call this incredible state home. Because facts matter, and facts are important.
Yeah.
It is unfortunate that we are led by a president who does not understand the laws of this land.
No, we are led by a president, okay, that is trying to remind you people, especially all you people on the left that are in power, that there is a way of looking up information to find out what corruption is going on. It started with Doge and USAID, and it's working its way down. All the ugliness, all the corruption, all the fraud, all the crime that you people on the left have been hiding is coming to light. Okay? Just because you think that you're in a community where you protect each other, I mean, I can't believe I'm going to say it, but how's the old saying goes? You can't outrun the long arm of the law? Well, here it is.
When the president tweets as if he has the authority to terminate temporary protected status for Somalis in Minnesota, even little kids in 8th grade know that that is not an authority that the president has and can wield.
Yes it is, you little bucktooth rabbit. Okay, now here's the thing. Does he probably have to get signatures on this from both houses? Yes, but guess what? Who's running both houses? Who's running Congress right now? Yeah. You see, this is the thing with these people. They have been let off the leash to commit as much fraud and crime that they want, as much corruption, that she truly is going to go up there and basically dog whistle these people in Minnesota to make it seem as if whatever he does, and what she's doing, she's setting it up for protest. That's what she's doing. And what has Trump proven time and time again? That whatever he's doing it within the scope of the law. That's why every time they try to go at him or they try to get judges, everything keeps falling in his favor. And we're seeing it time and time and time again. Because they were let off the leash to do whatever they want willy-nilly, thinking that whatever corruption they did was within the law. But they knew deep down inside that it wasn't. They knew deep down inside that they were committing fraud and all kinds of corruption and chaos. They knew it. But by hook or by crook, and I've said this many a times, these evil Democrats that are in power, they will do everything they can not to let go of power. Everything they can. And it's funny how they're saying that there's a lot of corruption and chaos going on in Somalia, but now that it's here, she's trying to push her weight around as if, you know what, I was born and raised here, this is how it's going to get done. Sweetheart, you're not in power. You may be in power in your little position now, but it won't be for long.
Temporary status protection for Somalis expires March of 2020. 26, and anyone with that status has 60 days after for it to have any impact on them.
Oh, that's not necessarily true. As a matter of fact, I looked this up and it was already put out on a couple of news outlets that the president could suspend that. And he doesn't have to adhere to the 60 days. He can actually do it less than 60 days. But let her go and tell people as if she knows the law.
And so if you are confused, if you feel threatened, know that the law is on your side and our demented president can't do anything about it.
Yeah, demented. You know what's funny? These people are clapping and they sound like they don't even want to clap.
Another unlawful thing that our lawless president is claiming to do so is to terminate that status for only one state, which he has no authority to do so. So, for the 300 or so people that are impacted, that currently live in Minnesota and across the country, we see you and we stand with you, and we will make sure we do everything that we can to help make sure that your status is adjusted before March of 2026. Because you know and I know that there is nothing temporary about people's lives here in the United States. Many of these people that we are talking about have built lives. They own homes, they own businesses, they are a vibrant part of our communities. And
I don't see how, because in all honesty, I don't see how the Somali community in Minnesota impacts my life for the better. I mean, in all honesty, can anybody truly say that what's going on in the Somali community in Minnesota is making a big positive impact to communities around the rest of the United States? The answer to that is no. So for her to make it seem as if, you know what, they're here by the millions and they're on the New York Stock Exchange and they're all over the place making communities better, it's like, no. It's a community in Minnesota. They basically damn turned it into Somalia. Okay, they've got their own police, they've got their own politicians basically running shit their way, vilifying and pushing people out. Okay, living off the taxpayers' teat on food stamps and welfare and all kinds of stuff like that. On top of that, all the marriage fraud that many of them have committed in order to get into the country and stay in the country. On top of all the fraud that's being uncovered now in the hundreds of millions of dollars. How can this woman stand there bold-faced and say something like this?
Want to make sure that their new home stays their forever home.
Well, you see, I'm sorry, people, I got to cut it again. Temporary protective status does not mean forever. For her to come out and say that this is their forever home, no. If you're here, it's the first word, temporary, not permanent protective status, temporary. Meaning that, you know what? When the president sees fit to come out and say, we're going to lift all this, yes, if there has to be a vote on it, whatever the case is, fine. But once the president comes out and says it's over, that's basically the outcome he's looking for. And again, with the Republicans running the Congress and the Senate, what do you think's going to happen, Elon? You think things are going to keep going your way? Get used to the fact that President Trump is in the White House. Get used to the fact that he hasn't even put in a full year yet. Okay? You and your leftist regime have stained this country, not even for the past 4 years. Since 2016, since President Trump first came down that escalator, you people on the left and all you rhinos already had it in your head. We have to stop this man. And you've tried everything in the book. Everything in the book to try to stop this man from doing his job. And not only try to stop him, you are trying to stop Americans from living in a safe, secure environment. You are nothing but I'm not going to call you a traitor because you weren't born in this country. You are an infiltrator. You're an enemy. You are an enemy to the people of the United States and America.
The second thing I want to speak to is that in this country, we do not blame the lawlessness of an individual on a whole community.
Oh, really? Oh, really? Listen to what she just said, okay? Watch this.
Because if you believe in law and order, you understand that if a person commits a crime, they face justice. And that you don't put that crime on a whole community. What we also know is that there is not a single evidence that the president or his coonies have put forth that there are any single resource from taxpayers in Minnesota that has gone to aid and abet terrorism.
Because she
that
says
language is dangerous. That language puts the lives of Somalis not only in Minnesota but across the country in danger. And if the president believed that and he had evidence, he would take people to court.
It's gonna happen.
So we are sick and tired of the president waking up one day and deciding to put forth falsehoods and demonize whole communities while the ignorant people that support him then take the lies that he's spreading and use it as a fact.
Okay, so she just said something about you don't blame the whole community, but she's also now belittling everybody that supports and have voted for President Trump, and belittling us, while lying at the same time that there is no proof, he has no evidence, and yet all the proof and evidence is coming out. And then on top of all that, okay, saying that Donald Trump supporters are insurrectionists, are racist, are fascist. You know, it's funny the way you see what I'm saying. It's even hard to put the words together. These people on the left, I truly feel, like I said, I truly feel that a lot of them they're just controlled by demons. Because of the way they say things, and they spew out all this rhetoric and try to make it seem as if, you know what, I can say this because what I believe to be true is going to be true, and you're gonna learn to believe it also. But yet again, when you show them the proof on their side what's going on, it's like, don't believe your lying ears or eyes. Incredible.
We've seen it during the campaign where he said Asians were eating cats and dogs. We've seen his vice president repeat those lies. We've seen the media run it as a headline as if it was a fact. Okay,
so the video that was circulating X, because I seen it myself, of the Haitian family, I believe it was in Florida, where they chased down they sent one of the kids out the car to chase down, well, he wasn't young, he was about 15 years old, chased down a swan in a lake, grabbed it by the neck, they dragged it into the damn car and drove off. That was a lie? Or the fact that there was proof that some Haitian lady in, I don't know what state, I forgot what it was, Minnesota or whatever she said, they caught her eating cats, and other people that have admitted, even content creators, different content creators that have interviewed people from Somalia, saying that yes, in Somalia, okay, they eat cats. To them it's like, I don't know if it's like a delicacy or whatever the case is. And when they started asking people in these areas here in the States, they were saying, yes, there are people out there doing this. But they're going to keep running on, oh, it was false, it was false, it was false. It's like you show them the proof, you bring the receipts, and only because they're saying that it's false, you have to believe what they're saying, not believe your lying eyes. You have to believe your lying ears is because of what they're saying, not from what you see to be proof from what they're saying. Case in point, with all these people getting busted for fraud, okay, with one of their own, a Somali, an American Somali who's in charge of fraud, has come out and said that since last year he's been talking about it. It's a shame. You're not going to believe him either? This woman is sick.
That is shameful. That is shameful. That is ignorant. It makes us look like a stupid nation that does not believe in truth but traffics in lies. It makes the world mock us, and we are better than that.
Oh, wait a minute. It makes all of a sudden now this is your country. First she put out a little excuse me, video. Matter of fact, about a week or two ago, when they asked her about her being having her citizenship revoked, and she said that she didn't care. She'll go back to Somalia. The fact that she was on at the podium speaking after Somalia won their president, calling him her president. You know, it's funny. You people come to this country, you mock America, you mock American citizens, you mock our culture, our way of life, and now that your asses are on the line, now all of a sudden, people are mocking us in America. Believe me, they're not mocking everyone in America. They're mocking people like you, Ilhan. I'm sorry, not Elon. They're mocking people like you. And not only are they mocking people like you here in America, they're mocking people like you that have infiltrated all around the Western world.
We are better than that as Americans.
Oh, now you're an American. Yeah, okay. Right.
Somalis are not terrorizing this nation. We are helping it thrive.
Right.
Somalis have always seen themselves as a fabric of this nation. We have signed up to serve this country in its military. We have signed up to teach children. We have signed up to become nurses and doctors and engineers.
I don't know about you people, but in all honesty, I mean, unless I just don't know, I've never met a Somali in my life. I truly haven't. And especially being born and raised in the Bronx, where New York is a melting pot of different cultures, I can honestly say that I've never met anybody that said they were from Somalia.
We have signed up to be public servants and get elected into office.
Yeah.
We don't do that because we hate this nation. We do that because we love this nation.
No, you do that because you're trying to take over this nation, especially you.
We do that because we have deep gratitude to the Americans who have given us the opportunity to find a new home, to settle in that new home.
She has gone her whole career mocking white men in America, mocking Trump supporters, mocking Christians, mocking everybody that is not on the left. And she's going to make it seem as if she cares about all of America? Oh, man.
To find new joys in that new home, to start families in that new home, and to call that new home our own. We don't complain on the sidelines, we get involved in making America better.
Wow. This woman is a joke, man.
And finally, before I get off this stage,
yes, please do.
I just want to take a moment, because I always jokingly say that Minnesota doesn't just welcome refugees, but it sent one to Congress.
Oh, wait. Now you're a refugee. Wait a minute. Are you an American? Are you a refugee? Are you a citizen? No, what you are is a damn fraud. Okay? You're a damn fraud. And you basically bogarted your way to Washington. You've been protected to not lose your seat in Washington. But that's going to come to an end. Because when President Trump gets all his ducks in a row, gets all the paperwork done, and knows all the legalities of what can and cannot be done, trust me, this woman will not be singing this tune back home in her country of Somalia, praising her Somalian president.
But I want most Minnesotans to know this. Majority of us Somalis who are here, as my friend Ali said yesterday.
Wait, why would she say she wants most Minnesotans? Why not all Minnesotans? That was a weird way to phrase that. Think about that, people.
Most of us, this was not the first place we came when we came to the United States. But most of us chose Minnesota as our home because Minnesota is special to us. Minnesotans
Most of yous were dumped in Minnesota.
are special to us.
Yeah, and you done pushed out real Minnesotans out of, if I said that right, out of Minnesota. I mean, you know, it's funny for her to come out and say something like this, and it's like you have vilified natural-born Americans in Minnesota by bringing in your people more and more and more, and the Democrats just dumping more and more and more in Minnesota. And now you're making it seem as if you're some beacon of hope in Minnesota? I don't think so, man.
When we moved from Arlington, Virginia and came here nearly 30 years ago, none of us decided to move to another state. My siblings and I and my dad, until he died, call Minnesota home. Because, like I said, Minnesota is special. And I know almost every single elected Somali Minnesotan did not start out in Minnesota, but chose to come here, stay here, start families here,
and commit fraud there.
Ultimately serve the people who welcome them into this beautiful state.
Oh, bullshit. Straight up bullshit, lady. Okay, I tell you, people, this woman, you know, she changes her tune like the weather, and one minute she's saying she doesn't care if she gets kicked out. Now all of a sudden she's out here at, you know, on a podium making it seem as if she's running for Congress all over again. It's like something tells me that this woman is more scared than anything else, because when all this investigation keeps going on, and she's probably trying to set the precedence now that all this is basically President Trump headhunting with no proof. Something tells me that her name is going to pop up, and a lot of these people, okay, if they are as corrupt as they are, there's going to be one bird in that bird cage that's going to tweet. I'm telling you right now, that's going to wind up flipping and start pointing fingers like, you know what, I don't want to go back to Somalia. I want protective status. I'm safer here. I'll give you names. And I think that this woman knows it, and she's trying to make it seem that what President Trump is doing is wrong, which obviously he's not, and is shown time and time and time again. He said it himself. He will do what he has to do within the scope of the law. Okay? People tend to forget he is the president. He has people working for him now. This is not like the first time around when everybody was trying to stab him in the back. Now he's got the right people in play. People that love this country. And they're going to investigate. And they're going to keep on investigating. And they're going to start cleaning house. The same way he said it the first time, he said it the second time, well, and the third time now that he became president. He's cleaning house, cleaning that swamp, cleaning it up. And I hope they did really, really deep, because this woman right here cannot be trusted. All these people, all the names that she mentioned, especially, I haven't heard that name in a while in the beginning, Keith Ellison, that dude is known to be an Antifa supporter. Another corrupt. It's like there's so many people in Minnesota that are corrupt. From Tim Walz to her, to Keith Ellison, to Klobuchar, they're all corrupt. Okay? How many times have things come out about these people in the media, and it just seems like they just keep blowing it off? Lest anybody forget, it wasn't that long ago that Tim Walsh was being investigated for signing off money to give to these NGOs and different programs and organizations in Minnesota. And what was his response? I believe his response was that he didn't know the inner workings, but you sure as shit signed off on a lot of money. This is big, people. And let me tell you something. President Trump, and she's out here putting out this statement, all she's doing is making him push to really dig deep and uncover all this corruption, all this fraud, all this money laundering. And especially now that he has deemed the Muslim Brotherhood a terrorist group, they're going to be investigating all these Muslim groups from every walk of life, from whatever countries they came from. Somalia, Iraq, Iran, Pakistan, Afghanistan. Now they're all under the microscope. And that's it. You brought this upon yourselves. The Democrats let you get free reign. You've been trying to destroy this country from within, and now it stops. And I thank God that, you know what, that President Trump is pushing on this, and I pray to God that it happens swiftly. Okay? That whoever's innocent is shown to be innocent, but whoever is involved and is corrupt, that they will get the justice they deserve. Because what they have been trying to do is destroy this country and our American way of life. Like President Trump said, the corruption from within. They're trying to destroy this country from within. And he's been saying it, and more proof is coming out. More and more proof is coming out. But anyway, that's what I got for you. Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, pass the channel around. And if you can help support the channel, there's a link in my description to my Cash App and my merch store. So remember, people, stay vigilant. Keep praying for each other. Keep praying for the women and the children. Pray for this country. Pray for your enemies. Pray for President Trump. And don't forget to pray for all the missing children that they brought across the border. Peace.